what is the reaction of the Bitcoin maxi when he hears Cardano?
Well, so it's really how you put it into the conversation. And so this is like,
ECC, Fireside chats
Hello, and thank you for joining our Fireside chats with founders at the European Cardano community. I am Marcus, one of the core team members, and if you like what we are doing, please consider supporting our individual projects. You will find the links to our guests and our projects below the video. Please give us a thumbs up, follow us by hitting the bell icon, and let's enjoy this session.
I've had to switch my glasses again because otherwise Panos is going to lynch me. So I've got glasses on. It helps me kind of see, but they're distance glasses. So I'm kind of like...
oh man, I
You
couldn't
can
make it
do
without my
it.
glasses. I can't see near or far.
You can do whatever you want on screen now, and Gavin won't realize.
Pretty much. I mean, I meant to actually go to Specsavers and get some new glasses, and I've been meaning to. You hear this every time I come on, and literally everything's so busy, I never get a chance to get there. I've got these like cheap glasses that I get from like a pound store, and they do for reading. So Panos has said if you keep wearing those cheap glasses and lowering the status of the project, he'll lynch me. So it's like, no, look, I've got some really, but they're just a prop.
Hi, Sheldon. Great, you made it. Awesome.
Yes, hey everybody. Apologies for running a little bit late. Good to see all you guys.
No,
Nice to
we're
see you.
we're just
Right.
starting.
Hello,
We're not
mate.
like
Hey,
starting. It's all cool. You have sunlight in the back. It's not 3 o'clock.
it is
Okay.
not. Yeah, thankfully it's not. Yeah, 2 or 3 a.m. I'm here in Toronto. So after Vegas wrapped up and like the Bitcoin conference there, decided to come and visit some family for this week, do a little bit of catching up as much as I possibly can, and then yeah, back on the road next week. So
Busy life.
easy life, yeah.
Busy, not easy.
Oh, yeah, that too.
That's fine. But that was quite a surprise on your last tweet. So pretty cool. How you've met Michael Saylor, I think, right?
Yes.
How come? Was it just coincidence, or did you?
Well, so I was there, yeah, at the Bitcoin conference there in Vegas, and before the actual official ceremony, the whole thing kind of kicked off. It was there a few days early, and so met up with Michael Saylor on the sidelines of an additional, like a private event around investors and really around like treasury strategies. So there's a lot of people who are excited about his approach. Some people are a little bit, worried. His whole investing strategy, essentially like buying Bitcoin and then using it as collateral to get more loans and buying more Bitcoin. It's but a potentially, dangerous situation if it does spiral out of control. But thus far, he's convinced many people that it is the way forward. And so there's actually a number of other companies that are looking to emulate his and strategy's approach to accumulating Bitcoin. So it was very interesting. So it was a small group of investors who are keen to be doing that. So got a chance to talk about what we're doing with Sundial and Bitcoin Layer 2s and a position where in the future, the very near future, people won't need to sell their Bitcoin. So you might see, people talking about this is the last cycle, you're being shaken out. Some of it's a little bit ridiculous, but there is some truth to it where the amount of institutions buying Bitcoin is actually kind of ridiculous. And many people aren't aware. A lot of banks are buying, a lot of major corporates, but they're keeping super quiet about it. And so it's been a very interesting thing. So I think there's going to be a switch that gets flipped maybe later this year or early next year, where suddenly everybody's like, oh, Bitcoin is indeed the mass market tool for everybody. And, the floodgates open up and you'll have multiple media outlets and others talking about it. But
Let's
until
go
then,
Q4.
Sorry, what's that?
Let's go Q4.
Yeah, Q4. Right with that.
It's going to be the
Yeah,
best
so yeah,
one.
it's outrageous because like the demand is so much higher for Bitcoin than gold these days. The scarcity is so much higher. Like the metrics don't make sense. But there's a lot of like shadow purchases where major companies like exchanges and others are just buying and selling uh, Bitcoin essentially behind everybody's backs. It's kind of off the books. so it doesn't affect price. And so it's kind of essentially like shadow banking or like black pools. And this has been like one of the most common ways of moving Bitcoin around these last several months. And so it's been very interesting.
Nice. And how is a guy like Michael Saylor thinking about um other strategies using Bitcoins, like for example, what you do with Sundial? And maybe you can briefly introduce Sundial as well, so not everybody might understand what you do there.
Yes, yeah. Well, okay. Well, so I'll talk about what Sundial does first, and then I'll come back to Michael Saylor and our conversation there. But yeah, so very simply, Sundial is basically one of the first layer twos for Cardano, utilizing our partnership and like the tech stack of Midgard. So work very closely with Phil and the guys over at Anesthesia Labs. I've known them for years now, so we're on sync to kind of build out a pretty interesting toolkit. But Sundial is really the best, and I would dare say the first use case for what we're building there. And it's maybe best understood because you guys are all Cardano guys, so I can say what it is, right? It's a Cardano tech stack. But when I go and I talk to Bitcoin maxis, I refer to Sundial instead more or not. It's just basically it's a Bitcoin layer two. And it's understood as a UTXO security first layer two to scale Bitcoin and provide Bitcoin yield and DeFi functionality. So that's the big thing. It gets people excited because Bitcoin maxis they think only in Bitcoin, and we are in a good place on the Cardano side of things of actually sticking very true to many of the principles of the Bitcoin kind of community. So it's a fairly easy sell. The issue is that there's not much education around Cardano, and so that takes a little bit of time. Some people will understand, like, okay, where are all of these ecosystem partners coming from? Because one of the big standouts of what we're doing with Sundial is basically all of Cardano, all of the various dApps and the protocols, they get inherited up into the layer two. So basically, we want to be able to provide all of this Bitcoin liquidity to Cardano through essentially like a backdoor, which is Sundial. And so when people are asking, like, who are these projects? These are not Bitcoin guys. Some of them are Bitcoin guys, be it like Tokyo or Maestro, but other ones like, oh, MinSwap, what do they do? And so there's a bit of education there, and it's actually gone really swimmingly. It's gone really smoothly. So with Michael Saylor, I just told him that, yeah, basically we've been utilizing Cardano's tech stack, which is 7 years up and running, no hacks, no outages, which is something commendable. It's a UTXO chain, and using the best of Cardano to serve the best interests of Bitcoin, and that's a thing that lands really well. And so, yeah, looking to have another Bitcoin strategy that actually reinforces the Bitcoin narrative. And so what we're doing with Sundial right now, because we had explored and kind of like thought about the possibility of having a Sundial token, but we will not go forward with that for now. Maybe it's something we come back to in 1 or 2 or 3 years, but we are going to be using just Bitcoin and ADA. So it's denominated in hard currencies, fixed supplies. People don't need any new like tokens sloshing around, and so we kind of like serve the interests of the Bitcoin community. And it lands really well. And so for Michael Saylor and other guys, that's a wonderful thing to be having your transactions in Bitcoin, your yield in Bitcoin, all of like your payouts in Bitcoin. It's wonderful, and it will create over time and at scale additional feedback loops that help propel the price of Bitcoin higher and higher. So yeah, we've already seen, and you guys might be aware, there's less and less Bitcoin on the public open market on exchanges, and I think this is going to continue to kind of rocket forward. And once we unlock Bitcoin DeFi through Cardano Tech, nothing else matters. Like Bitcoin DeFi, it changes the game. It will basically crush Ethereum, Solana, and everyone else. And so there's this rush to get into Bitcoin DeFi, and there's various other projects. Without a doubt, there's competition, but we've got such an advantage on the Cardano side, it's kind of ridiculous. So
Wonderful. Usually we have the questions afterwards, but maybe we can merge that. What is the reaction of the Bitcoin maxi when he hears Cardano?
well, so it's really how you put it into the conversation. And so this is like when I've now learned over years of like being like previously the head of the Cardano ecosystem and talking to various people at different conferences. If you come out the gate and say, "Oh, I'm with Cardano," they will normally just kind of like immediately like clam up. You're like, "What? first off, there's not very many Cardano people that go to these conferences because for the longest time, you've had the founding entities disagree on who should be paying for these conferences and who should represent Cardano. And so when I would go and do it, you would often hear like, oh, you're the first Cardano rep I've ever met, or the first representative or first head of this for the Cardano ecosystem, which is both good and bad. It's like nice for me because people get to like throw praise, but then it's also like, oh, damn, we should have had people on this for the last 7 years nonstop. So it's a shame that that hasn't been the case. So I found that actually when talking to maxis, you talk to them at their level. And so I don't throw Cardano at them like fast. It's usually maybe like the fourth or fifth sentence and kind of explaining what we're doing and how we're doing it. Like I was mentioning, like the UTXO narrative and security first and scarcity first, it's like check, check, check. Like a lot of our principles align with them because of like the notions of just marketing and branding, the fact we've got blue and white and they are all orange and yellow and black, it's just different. So there's this idea of like, oh, that's a different chain. Cardano's different. It's a shitcoin, this or that. But if you explain to them the actual history, the background tech, what we're doing with Sundial, with Bitcoin, with Cardano, they're much, much more receptive, much more receptive. And so I've actually not had any negative experiences in speaking to people about Cardano. You hear it all the time. Other people talk about it, but I think they talk about it and they come at it with a different perspective and they maybe come in a little bit too early on the Cardano side and it has people put up walls. So it's just, yeah, how you kind of like engage like socially and speak to where people are. So be cognizant of that. And so, yeah, so it's gone really well. To be honest with you, it's gone really well. And so we are making really good progress. There's things that we have on the Cardano side that others don't. And so getting into a little bit of like the specifics. So chains like Starknet, right? It's a Ethereum layer 2. They are now all in on Bitcoin. You've got Build on Bitcoin or Bob, Core DAO. All of these guys are all Ethereum layer 2s. And they really struggle because ultimately they are going to need to see an upgrade on Bitcoin, most likely OPCAT or a variation of OPCAT. But it requires a soft fork, and Bitcoiners don't want that. And so there's a good chance in 1 or 2 years' time, a lot of these Ethereum layer 2s will just not exist because they won't have the tech support to actually make it viable. Then you've got like Arch Network. They value themselves at over $200 million. It's just a Solana like virtual machine. And a lot of it is just technical hand waving. Also requires like major updates to Bitcoin. Some like DeFi functionality does exist, but it's just like wrapped. Everything is wrapped. It's quite like permissioned. It's all like quite questionable in its like security. So all of this, like now that we've seen these details and we've met these competitors, it's meant that like those of us on the Cardano side are more confident actually that we are like proceeding along like the right, correct path. Working with Charles, working with the Fluid Tokens guys, working with Bitcoin OS, we've got several horses in the race around Cardano Bitcoin integration. So we're not picking any one, we're working with all of them. And so it gives us a major advantage. And they're all a little bit different. There's like different flavors, different approaches, different strategies. Is it runes or ordinals? You want to go for a new token standard? Is it like a ZK bridge? Is it a traditional bridge? Wand chain? There's all of these approaches. And so we're guaranteed to have multiple solutions that work at the end of this, which is really reassuring. And yeah, it's something many people can't really comment on. And so we've got a chance to work with Bitcoin and not have to compromise. They don't need to change. There's no hard forks or soft forks there. We are accommodating on the Cardano side to best serve Bitcoin, which is something very remarkable in this space.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds incredibly interesting and invigorating. Really
Yes.
invigorating. And there's a similarity, that's going to be a bridge now, between the regular projects and CNFT projects. So they're also businesses. So I would like to introduce This Crazy Life and Speechmore to CNFT projects or project leads on Cardano. Hey, man.
How you doing?
Very
Thanks
good.
for having me.
Thanks
You're
for
very
Thanks for
welcome.
having us.
So, you guys want to hear about the refresh, or what is it that you
Yeah.
want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had
So
the chance to already have a chat with you last Sunday. It was an amazing appointment with the late night unicorn X Space. So it's very nice to see you here and see your face and have you explain better the project to a wider audience now.
And in the end,
All right.
always feel free to ask each other questions and find similarities, and maybe Sheldon can also introduce you to the options that how you could use Sundial to get into new heights as well. So this is a great chance, I think.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, so the refresh is it started off as an art-based project, an on-chain art-based project. We're one of the first three on-chain projects on Cardano. And it just, it all came on a whim. I was minting small collections initially, 5 to like 100 was the max. The last one I had done was 100, and then I flipped a switch, created the concept of the refresh, and I launched a 10K collection. And since then, it's just been about growing the community and being a part of the Cardano community and seeing, even though it was an art project, I'm still a coder. There's things I know how to do. So I wanted to see like what I can make to kind of bring some utility to things and make things, funner, more accessible to people. As a art guy trying to produce things on Cardano, it's kind of hard being an on-chain artist on Cardano. All the different platforms do things a different way. There's no streamlined way of creating your collection. The metadata has a standard, of course,
Oh,
but the way you implement that on the different platforms is different. And some of them don't fully work with on-chain art. All of them work with IPFS. So like one of the things I'm trying to build is an interface for creating metadata for any platform, something that would help me out and I think would help many people out on Cardano. So that's something that I'm like silently working on in the background. Tools I have made for like the on-chain collectors in the space. I made an NFT that can make a backup in a way of other on-chain NFTs. Now, you kind of wonder, why would you need a backup of an on-chain NFT if it's already on-chain? Well, currently, the only real place to view an on-chain asset is on pool.pm. Maybe some people know about that, maybe they don't. But all the different marketplaces, only like 2, maybe 3 will display on-chain art. And even in those, it doesn't display the whole spectrum of on-chain art. So there's a lot of gaps there in that area. So the thing that I created and I turned it into an NFT, which is a collection that's available now. You have this NFT with an interface. You copy just a section of your metadata from the file you want to back up, paste it into your NFT. You hit a button, and it will generate a converted, because the on-chain art is in base 64 JSON arrays when it's in the metadata. So in order to get that accessible to somebody outside of pool.pm, it's got to be converted. So the tool converts it into an HTML file, and now you have an actual backup, and you can look at your NFT whenever you want to, whether pool's around or not around, or whether a market's displaying it or not. So, the refresh has turned into an art project, still making art and things, but kind of seeing where there's little holes to fill in to make things more accessible to people, more fun. Me and Cardano Nudes, we put on workshops, and we minted those workshops as a volume NFT, which is available on Drip Drops. If somebody were to get that, you can go through that whole volume, and anybody will be able to mint their collection on Cardano after going through that volume. So it's like the refresh is about giving to the community, making things easier, sharing the knowledge that we have with anybody who wants to, learn about it. Even on our Discord server, we created channels for, other artists if they don't want to create their own, so they can just come in and set up shop on our server. Just all about community. That's what we're about, and seeing where things can improve.
Do you also support projects so that they can basically book you? I'm just thinking about these evolutionary NFTs where you say, okay, you have a little bit of a story behind that. You could basically add the data into the array, and once the NFT would be minted, it would get the image of the new array, if that makes sense. Is there something
Yeah.
planning in this direction, or is it already there? I missed the space last time with with you and Gavin and Davide?
Yeah, so the way the current refresh NFTs work, the code is in the asset. So you mint it. When you pull up your asset, you look at the image, you refresh it. So in the old days, you had to click the actual F5 button on your keyboard or the refresh button in your browser to get it to refresh. Now I set it up so you just click the image. So you click the image and it just generates new images. So if you happen to come across one you like, whether it's the first one when you open it or after 10 refreshes, you have to save it because you're never going to see that specific image again. I basically sell high quality art generators as NFTs, with each one being individual. What's up, Cav?
Crazy. Are you able to share your screen and show the refreshable community token that you created for the European Cardano community?
We will put it below in the link because we don't share screens in these sessions. We make sure it's going to be presented. So thank you for that, by the way. Yeah, that was a great thing, and Gavin introduced it to us. So awesome! Thank you for building the bridges here, Gavin.
Sure.
Speech more. What is it about diamond hooves?
Hey, hello everyone. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here with such an incredible panel. Hey, what's going on, Gav? Good to see you live. Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Speechmore. I'm a co-founder and founder of Diamond Hooves. My co-founder Vince wasn't able to make it today. He's currently working, but essentially Diamond Hooves is a gamified racing ecosystem on Cardano. We're hoping to take digital horse ownership to the next level. And the crazy life, I would love to talk to you after this because I think we could collaborate. We have some leveling mechanisms for NFTs, and I think we could do something special. So essentially, yeah, that'd be great. And so essentially at first glance, it sounds like a racing game, and it is, but it's more than that. Diamond Hooves is a fully functional digital economy where players can race, you can breed, you can rent and manage your horse stables. So essentially, this is where the leveling up mechanisms come in handy. So again, I would love to talk to you, Crazy Life, about collaborating. And so essentially, everything in our ecosystem is connected by our token, Diamond, or DMND. And we're actually currently in a token sale right now in a private round. We've raised 30,000 ADA, and we're hoping to hit our 50K goal before we move into the public round. And so really excited about that. And so essentially what makes Diamond Hooves different from a lot of the other racing games or just NFT games in general is that we focus on sustainability. And that's primarily, with our economy, with our tokenomics. And so essentially every action in our game, whether it's racing, whether it's breeding, whether it's leveling up or accelerating your cooldowns to get back into the race, uses our token DMND. But most importantly, as you utilize our token DMND, a portion of it is burned, and so this is where we get into the scarcity generating side of our ecosystem. And this, in our opinion, supports that long-term value, the long-term sustainability. We know that a lot of projects have a lot of hype when they start, but they have no tokenomics, they have no utility. There's nothing to do with that token, and so we've created an engine, if you will, which are the races that are automated. And essentially, as these automated races happen at the close of every epoch, every 5 days, our horses will race. Players will earn DMND. Racing fees are burned, etc. And we can dive into all the tokenomics here in a bit when we get into the fireside chat. But that's essentially it in a nutshell. We've designed a system that the even passive players can benefit from. Actually, you can just be fully passive and still participate in our ecosystem. We try to keep it very true to the NFT holders, kind of that NFT staking combined with gaming mechanics is where we kind of sit in our ecosystem. And so, as I mentioned before, our races happen every 5 days, regardless of anything. Horses or players just have to stake their NFT. And then we also have stables. Stables are another way to generate emissions or passive income in our ecosystem. Again, we can dive into that as we discuss more what the stables do. Our horses can be raced, rented out, and so much more. And so that, in a nutshell, is my initial 60-second to 2-minute pitch of what Diamond Hooves is. But really love to dig into it a little bit more. Yeah,
that was exactly 59 seconds.
Oh, perfect.
Wonderful. Yeah, timing is amazing.
So to stick a little bit to the topic of of the bridging. So what is your first thought about Cardano and Bitcoin and your question towards Sheldon, if you want to? And are you focused on Cardano? Are you seeing like growing into Bitcoin? Is this an option, or do you say no, we purely stay to Cardano, and that's good enough, which it is. But did you think about that?
I think this is just for the entire panel, right? Can we jump in here, or was that just
Yes,
directed at?
yes, this is complete.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've done for our races is we've gamified rewards, and so essentially what we're doing is we're taking our token for the reward pool, but we've also included mine rewards. So currently we've purchased 100 WMT nodes. Essentially that'll be put into the prize pool, but we're also hoping to purchase miners as well. So for us, Bitcoin presents sustainability and stability. It also excites our community to see us be able to onboard Bitcoin in this fashion. And so, for us, I think it's important for Cardano to make these collaborations. I mean, the world that I see in the future is integrated blockchains. And so, I mean, while I love Cardano, I'm not a pure Cardano maxi, and think that there's definitely a place here for Bitcoin.
Yeah, the refresh also, I dipped my toes in creating a small collection of ordinals back when they first came out. Actually, some of my test mints, I heard about it right away, and I got one of my test mints done in like the hundred thousands. So like I was catching on to ordinals in the beginning. Now I'm looking at the charms. I have a collection coming up right now, and it's called G Blocks. When I first heard of Bitcoin OS, it struck me big time. I thought of Satoshi's original message in that Genesis block. So I made a collection called G Blocks, which is a replica of a transaction. And there's a message in each one, and it's not just black and white, white background, black text. They're all different. There's animations and this and that. Out of the collection, there's only going to be one that has the actual Satoshi message. I'm going to put half the collection on Bitcoin, half the collection on Cardano. Whichever collection sells out first, the raffle off for the Satoshi one, something like that.
Awesome. Gavin, about PromoFacie, I know you are tackling different with your product, you're tackling different chains at the same time. Currently, the focus is on Cardano, but
Yeah. I mean, what we've got working, we've partnered with a project on Cardano called the Farm Bots, and they have an automated payment system in Discord that works with Polygon, VeChain, and Cardano. So everything that we have working in Cardano can automatically work in VeChain and Polygon. And then from there, whatever the farm bots don't add, we can just add a transaction builder and go to those chains. So that's not a problem. We're also working in some projects without using crypto at all. So just using the points and the credits that are part of our system. So, that's kind of anyone hearing about us for the first time, I should probably start with the intro. We've built a promotional engine that connects Discord to X and will in the future connect other social medias. We basically automate the function of community management. So your community can raid tweets direct from from Discord. They can interact in Discord, and for these interactions, they're earning rewards all the time. So it incentivizes people to come back and aids with community building. We automate a lot of the functions. So if you run rumbles or battles, people can be automatically paid out. Every project that uses our system gets a store where they can sell roles and tokens in exchange for credits. You have a slot where people can win credits, lose credits, win tokens. We've got a few other things that we're working on. We've built treasure hunts. So we attacked something quite big, which is people don't read your announcements, they just emote them. So we created treasure hunts so that you could ask questions based on your announcement, put the answers as elements in a treasure hunt. And then people would have to go and read your announcement to find those elements to enter them to go into a prize pool. So now we've inverted it. So rather than being a big chunk of text people don't want to read, people look at it as an opportunity to win some tokens. So now they're reading. And because the questions are basically highlighting your key branding, key details, there's nothing better really for getting your key branding across and building a strong community. So yeah, that's something we're doing. We've actually got a treasure hunt live at the moment in the European Cardano community because we've teamed up with Crazy and the EU community, and on the 14th we're going to be having a massive games night on Cardano. We're going to have bingo in the refresh. We're going to have a rumble in PromoFacie. We're going to be having European Cardano refresh and PromoFacie quiz. There's going to be farm battles. There's going to be smash carts. So it's going to be an evening, lots of chances to win tokens, have fun, be a community, which is what we're all about. And if anyone's interested in looking at PromoFacie, if you've ever run any kind of promotion in your Discord, you know what it's like. You have a promotion, you get tons of tickets opening up with people trying to claim things. We automate all of that, whether it's allocation of roles, prizes in the form of tokens. We automate all of that with our raid system. People can come into your Discord and there's buttons there. So for someone to reply, repost, and like, it's 3 clicks. And we've even updated media now, so you as a project, you could pick up to 100 media items and then make them available to your community, and they can just pick them from a drop down and then use that, and that goes to X. That's really cool. Like if you've got like key information that you want to get out on X and in your timelines, you can curate what's available to people to insert as media. And so, those are all really cool things. We keep building. And if you would like to automate the whole community reward process and make it super easy to get the maximum number of interactions on each post, then yeah, come and talk to PromoFacie.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I could back them up it's a great product. Like coming from a guy who's running the project on his own, hasn't managed to put a team together, just trying to put it all together, get out there and market it, but also got to, get all the coding done and build whatever I'm building. I'm working on several things at once and just don't have time for everything. Ever since I got involved with PromoFacie, way more activity going on my server, way more, hands down.
It's a
But if
very
you give people, sorry,
team as well. It's a very supportive team as well. Yeah, get in touch. You can reach them either through our server, that's the EU Cardano server that you find on our X, or through our spaces every second Sunday, 9 CET Sundays,
Yeah.
PM.
It is.
And yeah, and of course their own server. You might see a little bit of a promo face in the background, so you don't miss out on the X account. Speaking of hunts, you're moving already. That's cool. So, what is your best approach to? Are you working with other Cardano projects? Are you inviting them to support you in any way in your development? Is there any synergies that you can build together? Because I think that's a great opportunity. If
This is for me, right, Mr.
Yeah.
Hunch? Okay, great. I wanted to make sure. But yeah, well, so actually, like I was mentioning before, the benefits of like the layer 2 that we're building with like Sundial Midgard is that so much of the Cardano ecosystem gets to kind of go up into the layer 2 anyways. And so for all like the builders kind of listening in and thinking about this, the only real updates that will be required on the technical side of things will be some code that needs to accommodate for lower costs and then higher speeds. So for some, that won't really be all that impactful, but for others, that could be actually like a big change with how your protocol works on the back end. So that's something that needs to be kind of like said, because one of the really cool things about having a layer 2 on a UTXO is we do think it could actually be optimized in ways EVM can't be. So it could actually be faster and cheaper, which is crazy to say. So we're probably not going to make any money from any like transaction fees or anything like that, but it will be pretty amazing actually. So some of the metrics, and a lot of it is hardware dependent. So we haven't actually confirmed what the nodes are going to be for like the hardware to kind of lock in TPSs, but that should be coming later this year. But it is quite exciting. Some of the demos are quite remarkable. But for like other projects we're working with now, like tons of projects. A lot of them mostly to do with like back-end hardware or like plugins. So be it like TX Pipe, be it Maestro. Obviously working really close with the Fluid Tokens guys. Work very closely with IOG and the engineers there around the Bitcoin stuff. Because like some people might think that there's a lot of competition for what's going on in the Bitcoin Cardano space. A lot of it actually is quite linked up. Everybody, at least from my perspective, we're all collaborating together. Everybody works with me and Sundial in some kind of capacity. There might be like competing solutions between, say, like Bitcoin OS and like the IOG approach, be it like runes and ordinals or a token standard. But I think that's actually a very positive competition, as we saw actually on the panel last week where Yago and Charles were talking about this. And so you can disagree, but still like move forward. So it's really cool. And then we're working very closely with some of these guys who want to get moving quickly on what could be done around unlocking Bitcoin DeFi and bringing over the liquidity into the Cardano side of things. It's really a fairly smooth conversation. So as you guys all know, right, the tech on Bitcoin is very limited. It doesn't allow for any native smart contract capabilities. The block sizes are small, but it means that there isn't really any competitive or cannibalistic nature or relationship between layer twos that are building on Bitcoin. When you have layer twos on, say, like Ethereum, there's this concern about a cannibalistic take on liquidity, right? When we have on the Cardano side of things, UTXO, Sundial will be just basically Cardano. So it's all liquidity sharing. And for the Bitcoin guys who want to see additional utility for Bitcoin, who want to have smart contracts, who want to have DeFi, who want to have NFTs and games, you can't do it on Bitcoin. And so people are searching out for allies in this. And Cardano's like basically a perfect plugin because we've got some liquidity issues and they've got smart contract issues. And so it's a very natural plugin. So we're working with some Bitcoin projects right now who've been trying to build on Bitcoin for years and kind of struggling. And now seeing that, oh, actually, let's just not compromise on the UTXO model and then just do it with the extended UTXO model of Cardano, which is really cool. And so, yeah, some of the next like partnerships coming down the pipeline relate to kind of making sure that we have security and DeFi ready to go, and ideally putting to work some Bitcoin that comes over early on. So looking at what could be done around like say USDM, looking at say like MinSwap, putting some yield generation strategies together for Bitcoin that comes to Cardano, a whole bunch of stuff like this. There's a bunch of other partnerships. I was going to say a bunch, but I'll let you guys maybe wait until next week when some of the announcements start. Should probably do one tomorrow as well. So yeah, it's a pretty exciting time. If there's anybody who wants to get involved and is keen to kind of be a part of this, I encourage you guys to kind of take a look yourselves at how you would want to plug into Bitcoin, be it just providing for their community, be it like DeFi services, be it just like liquidity provisions. We're all ears for new ways of kind of collaborating and working together because as Speech More was saying, like I believe that the future is going to be interoperable. There's a lot of layer ones and layer twos that have been building these last couple of years, and they're doing some great stuff. But I think really the major traction is going to be around those projects, the major like blockchains that have been at it for years. And we're going to see, I think, new activity come from Cardano, new activity in Bitcoin, new activity in Litecoin, Dogecoin. The UTXO chains are going to see new ways of being put to work that just wasn't possible in the past. And I think for some of these guys who are doing like a layer 3 or a layer 4 on an Ethereum sidechain, this or that, they're going to struggle to be sticking up with a narrative that is all around Bitcoin and this flight to security and flight to quality. So that's my take. And it's a very exciting time. And so, yeah, open to any questions you guys might have. I'm always having my comms open, so you can always DM me as well on X. So, yeah, it's a very exciting time.
And if the stablecoin provision would start happen as well, then this might be a big move.
Yes, I think it will be a big move. And so I feel bad. I'm like talking so often in this chat. So my apologies for everybody if you felt like I've just hijacked it all. But I wanted to bring up like one additional point, which is really cool, which is around something that's been circulated for some time. The guys have worked on Fluid Tokens and some other developers, which is SIP 113, which is around like programmable assets. We are going to be implementing that like natively on the layer 2 on Sundial. which, for some people, programmable assets, what does that mean? Well, it's actually one of the reasons why you couldn't have Circle or Tether or any of these other stable coins come over, because of the need for them to be able to freeze and claw back tokens. We don't want to make any compromises to the main chain of Cardano, but you need to have some of that optionality for institutions. And so we'll be doing that here with Sundial. So it opens up a new suite of services and functionality for assets. And I think we'll be able to have new conversations with those who have maybe previously sat out on Cardano because they were afraid of the technical hurdles or compromises that needed to be made on one or both sides. So this is another really exciting, development, I would dare say.
Wow. Speechmore, you're nodding.
No, I was just thinking of various ways to integrate with Sheldon's project, and so I have a few things floating around my head. I mean, currently we spoke about utilizing miners, but there has to be a better way to do this. There's always something new. So maybe Sheldon and I can have an offline call and discuss how we can leverage this tech. So, but just I thought it was a very interesting point. So yeah, just nodding in agreement.
You said the miner topic is one thing that I have seen that more projects in Cardano are buying miners to do a little bit of a revenue sharing. And you said when you're a more passive guy, you're not into the gaming part. How does that look? You wanted to explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, so I mean, as I mentioned, our race. So let me take a step back. So what we wanted to do was take NFTs to the next level, right? What happens to your NFT when you stake it? And so we settled on a kind of a hybrid. We call it a game. It's advanced staking with play to earn mechanics. So yeah, it's a game. But for us, one of the things that's most important is the bulk of our holders started with wanting just to hold NFTs. We don't want to force them into a game, right? We don't want to force them into play to earn. And so every move that we make with any feature add-on or anything that we do within Diamond Hooves is to respect that. And so essentially, if you want to race, you just stake your NFT, you set a balance, and as long as your horse meets certain criteria, certain threshold, like it's not injured, it's healthy, etc., it'll be entered into the races automatically, right? And so this is what we mean by, you can participate fully and passively if that's what you choose to do. Yes, you'll have an edge if you're playing to earn and going on various quests when the time comes, etc. We'll have consumables and things like that allow you to boost your horse in race, but you can still do the bulk of our game passively. And so hypothetically, if you have a top horse, and we're racing for these mine rewards, you can then also partake in winning those mine rewards by simply just staking your NFT.
And the active part would be?
Yeah, the active part is a great question. So the active part is we have various mechanics, our ecosystem. So we have horses, right? Horses race. But then we have breeding. So breeding is going to be the active component where you utilize our token and a small portion of ADA to breed. And so this is where things get fun. In our opinion, we are working with, for example, the walkers. And so breeding allows us to get into different mechanics. So, for example, the way it'll work is we have horse eggs. And so these horse eggs can be matured in various ways. You can stake, like I said, passively, and over time, your horse will mature. The egg will, incubate, and then it'll become a full-blown horse. You can pay with our token to expedite that. Or you can work, if you hold a Walker's NFT and a Diamond Hooves NFT, essentially the way it'll work is as you walk, you will generate XP, or HP, as we like to call it, horsepower, which will then be utilized to unlock and mature your horse. And so we're, as a project that focuses on track and field style racing, we're not quite derby, we're more track and field, more about the athlete, healthy living, etc. We think this is a great integration for our project, right? Where now we go from just staking to real world, right? To monetizing your steps as well. So we collaborate there with the walkers. Also, our NFTs have leveling capabilities, right? So eventually what will happen is your stable can be increased in size and capacity. That capacity can be rented out. But one of the exciting things is each stable comes with land plots. And so in these land plots, they have various functions such as healing, transportation, etc. And so you can utilize your DMND, our utility token, to essentially upgrade your NFTs. And so, those are just some of the various ways that you can interact as someone who's doing play to earn. We have a lot of things on the horizon in terms of eventually a small platformer. But for us, we think the best thing to do is to build this current ecosystem before we go any further into some of those more play to earn mechanics. While we think that Cardano can sustain a full play to earn game, we haven't seen we have some successful models, but for us, we think the best thing to do is to grow and have adoption be on our side before we move into something that's fully play to earn. Again, this is why I talk about we're a hybrid between staking and play to earn mechanics, somewhere in the middle.
Very cool. You've been mentioning Walkers. It's a project that is quite supportive of other projects. It's kind of the sweat coin in a more collaborative way. The Solana version of the shoes in a more collaborative way. So it's integrating with other projects, right?
Yeah, so shout out to Ivana, by the way. They have a mint going on. If you haven't minted, go mint. But yeah, Walkers is very collaborative. I mean, just like our project, we require adoption, they require adoption. So collaboration is the name of the game. And so one of the best things about the Walkers is that you can create Diamond Hooves can create tasks in the Walkers app. So their community will do, various tasks and earn our token as well as walk. And so, this collaborative spirit, I think, is exactly what Cardano needs. It's actually part of our ecosystem as well. We have what's called partner leagues. And in our partner leagues, what we do is we create a track. Essentially, for example, we have a Walkers track. And so that Walkers track will essentially have advertisements. It'll have Walker banners. It'll be something that's geared particularly to the Walkers community, and through that, some revenue sharing. And so, 100%. He said sweat coin, 100%. Walkers is one of the most collaborative, and they need to be in order to make their project successful. But again, shout out to Ivana, one of the hardest working founders on Cardano.
Crazy. I can definitely vouch for that. I grabbed my geolocations last night, so if you're tuning in, definitely go and grab some of them.
Yeah, definitely. And shout out to PromoFacie as well. I mean, this is Crazy Life was mentioning earlier how difficult it is to essentially build and do all the other things that are required from being a founder. And so the marketing side, PromoFacie's bot has been extremely helpful in getting our community excited about our tweets, excited about our posts. We've noticed immediate growth. And so, this is the type of collaboration that I love to see on Cardano, where various projects work together. I love to say Web3 businesses, but, Web3 businesses or projects collaborate together to bring something special. We don't have to provide all these services ourselves. We can leverage each other and become successful. So yeah, shout out to PromoFacie as well. Really, really appreciate your tool.
You captured the ethos of it for us, and like you think about all of us that are here now talking about the things that we're doing and taking an interest in each other's projects and shouting each other out, and even people that are not here now. Yeah, and that's what Cardano's got to become. It's not what we've done historically. There's been too much infighting, but yeah, we need to present a face to the world that says, this is a great place to come and land, whether you want to bring your Bitcoin over, and when you're here, you might want to jump into some of those races. You might want to pop across to the refresh and get yourself some crazy refreshable tokens done. And while you're there, pop into the European Cardano community, because they've got all the information there. They're connecting up everybody. They're working in the background. And by the way, put PromoFacie in your Discord and let's all be happy, get rewards, and go to the moon together.
Awesome. So if you took anything from that space, share. And I would say we are close to wrapping it up. And we start with the Crazy Life. What is your suggestion and your recommendation to founders, just in general, or from a personal?
Yeah, I mean, you just you got to grind, you got to be a part of the community, you got to be active, and you got to produce, or you won't even have a community or anything. Be involved, be aware of what's going on in the ecosystem. Pay attention to everything, your community, your product. Don't just put out half-assed things. If you got to delay. I am known for delaying. My community knows, we actually joke about it, but I'm fine with it. They're fine with it, because end result, they always say, thanks for waiting. So it's quality and community.
Awesome. And you've been around for years, right?
Yeah, since 21, man, since NFT started here on Cardano.
Yeah. I saw you in the first time I saw you, it was in the
Facie.
Toasty
Facie
drops?
drop.
no, the thing that yeah, Tozy Drop. Yeah, exactly. In Tozy Drop. Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
first time when I saw you. So cool to meet you finally.
Yeah, you too. Good to see the face.
Wonderful. Your recommendation. Let's go vice versa. I go clockwise. That would be Gavin on my end, and then I skip myself because I never have recommendations. Gavin.
Yeah, my recommendation would be get PromoFacie in your Discord, mint a token pass. We've got those going now. Get yourself 25 of the refresh NFTs, because if you do, you become a whale and you'll be able to have custom stuff done for you. Grab yourself some DMND and maybe a stable and some horses as well. Get those things mating. Get yourself into the European Cardano community. There's a treasure hunt live. I've actually got the words for that, and it'll be ongoing until the 14th. The words you need are token, change, community, and unicorns. And of course, you've got to tune into Late Night Unicorns, which is the PromoFacie collaboration space with the European Cardano community. On the 15th, we're back. We're going to have Necro League on for that one. So, lock that one down. Bridge your Bitcoin across. Look how much fun we're having. Come and be a part of it. You need to talk to Sheldon and make sure you get some of that Bitcoin onto Cardano. And yeah, those would be my recommendations. Go into the European Cardano community. Those words I mentioned, /hunt/find. You can enter those. And if you enter all of the words that I said just now, you'll be awarded with a bingo roll, and that will qualify you for our night of games on the 14th. And if anyone wants to join that night of games and make it more of a bigger collaborative spectacular, then just hit me in Discord and we'll sort that out.
You know what sucks? The team is excluded. So
What? No, you're in, Marcus. You're more than welcome. No. Ever since I started winning prizes, my philosophy on all of this changed. It's all okay now.
you had a hard rule for that. So but by the way,
we break rules all the time. This crypto.
Just to extend that to Sheldon, get some Bitcoin. So just a few. That's okay. Sheldon, your remarks.
Yeah. Get Bitcoin. Be more Bitcoin. Well, I guess some closing remarks are just like, well, keep at it, guys. Absolutely, like, keep going, keep grinding. Like, it's become so clear to me, and I think to many others, you guys who've been in the space for a few years. Momentum matters, but legacy matters. Doing the right thing, but principles matter. And so just keep showing up. Don't compromise. Do tone out on some of the noise. Of course, like, we are in a bit of an attention economy, but there's something to be said for long-term momentum. And so never shift from that and keep going. And yeah, I would dare say, like, the best days are ahead of us. And there was something that was actually mentioned earlier on around thinking about this as a business. Of course, we're projects, and we often just describe each other as projects, Web3 projects. But I would dare say, like, we are probably at the cusp of starting to think about this more and more as businesses. It is a bit of an upgrade, and I would dare say, I would encourage everybody to start thinking about that primarily. Like, think of yourself as a Web3 business, and also just get out there in new ways to onboard normies. Because if we're always just selling to each other, we're going nowhere. So get out there and try to, like, push the envelope. Extend some hands and get people excited for where the future of this tech is going. So,
if I might add to that, after speech more, now you push the trigger, but speech more is first.
I think all the founders' remarks capture my sentiments. Sheldon just mentioned, I just wait. Sheldon just mentioned Web3 businesses. We have a X space called Stable Business, which we try to call each other Web3 businesses in that space. I mean, we always end up using projects because it's just part of our language. But I totally agree that it's time for that shift, seeing ourselves as businesses and just not projects. So 100% there. Gav mentioned collaboration. For us, collaboration has been what's gotten us through each of the bear cycles. When you collaborate, you can at least bring things to the community. Even if there's no liquidity, no funds coming in, you can still collaborate and create special things. So 100% on that. And This is Crazy Life mentioned it. And I think one of the key points is resilience. You just got to keep on building. You have to remain transparent. And most importantly, pivot. If something isn't working, try something else, right? And so that's been our lifeline. We started as one thing and we've pivoted and pivoted and pivoted. And here we are hoping to bring you at least our races, at least by the end of summer very soon. But we're going to do it. We're going to do it because bringing it back to Sheldon as well, legacy matters. For us, it's extremely important to do what we said we would do. It's not even just about creating a project that generates millions, which we would love for that to happen, but we're here to build something. And it's not so much of whether that succeeds or fails. It's more about building what we said we would, because again, legacy matters. And I'm not going anywhere. For me, blockchain is the future. I want to remain here. And so in order to do that, I can't rug my community. I got to deliver what I said I would. And so, so well said for, in terms of the previous founders' remarks. Yeah, this has been a great space. I really enjoyed, being here with you all. I didn't plan on doxing today. I doxed. So hello.
Hey,
Everybody,
I've been at Rare Evo and CNFT Con, but I haven't done spaces like this. So you're just happy to be here and to spread that Cardano love. And so yeah, a great, incredible space. And yeah, those are my remarks.
other shows
speaking,
have a target to make their guests cry. With us, they come out real. So, on that business part, first of all, if you like what we're doing, EU Cardano really needs support. We really need your support. Second, talking business. Get off Twitter once in a while and retreat to build and just take your time. Also to recover on your mind. It's so important. You get like 10 things more done if you just have Twitter and all other social media being turned off for at least 4 hours a day or something like that. And if you're one of those projects who are struggling on the real world side to how do I come across my investors, just separate your businesses. It's totally fine to have two businesses running, one for Web3 and the other one is doing the real world application. That makes the communication much easier for you and you don't letting down on your Web3 community. So that's been my trigger. Sorry, Gavin, you wanted to say something and Davide, close it out.
yeah. No, I want. Sorry, guys, go ahead.
Sorry, I just really building on one of the things that Sheldon said about attracting the normies, and I just, we like the farm bots because we're teamed up with them and we love what we do as well. With us and with the farm bots, because of their technology, now people can receive tokens in Discord. So like Sheldon said, market to the normies, do things like we're doing on the 14th, have fun, because they can come into Discord and they can just get tipped some tokens in Discord and then they're owners. They don't even need to have a wallet. So I know for me, one of the biggest scary things on boarding in crypto was the whole wallet setup and what this all crypto meant. If you can just pull people in and have fun and relate to people in a fun way, not necessarily just a crypto way, then we have now tools in Cardano that we never had before. And you can have people just turn up, become holders, and then their next logical question is, how do I take this to a wallet? And, we can really onboard people with the tools that are out there now. And we're bridging Bitcoin across. That's more important than ever.
Great, yes. I agree 100% to what Gavin said. Speaking about collaboration, what is the best way to reach out to you guys? Can you share what is your preferred method?
Starting with Sheldon.
Yeah, well, I would dare say probably the best way to reach out to me is probably on X, of course, as Marcus was saying, don't spend all of your time there, but it is a great way to stay connected. It's where I would dare say a lot of the kind of marketplace or the town square of Cardano actually happens. And so, yeah, you can find me at underscore Mr. Hunt underscore. And yeah, always open for DMs and chats. And yeah, keen to see what we can do together.
Great. Thank you.
Gavin?
Crazy? Oh, Gavin?
Yeah, sure. Find us x.com/PromoFacie or join us in Discord. You'll find the Discord link on X, and we'd love to have you with us.
Perfect. Crazy?
Yeah, you could get a hold of me on X, either at the refresh CNFT or underscore this crazy life with 8 for the A in crazy and underscore at the end. Yeah, or jump in our Discord. Everything's open, all my DMs.
Beachmore?
Yeah, same. You can catch me on X, Diamond Hooves IO, or you can go to my founder page, which is Speechmore. And so happy to collaborate. Hope to hear from each and every one of you right after this space.
Davide?
Yeah, you can reach us in our Discord server, European Cardano community, or on X as well. We are always there for you.
Awesome. And follow those links. I was in a healthcare space today, and somebody dropped a link to a survey, and it was an official space, right? Like really official space. And I didn't click the link because I was like so terrified through those experience that we have in Web3. So I got really cautious until one of the hosts named and described the space as itself. So using a QR code in your backgrounds might make things easier, or putting that QR code on your X profile, maybe even. Wonder how that works. So thank you, everybody. We were good in time, and hope to see you guys soon.
Thanks for having me. It's great.
Thanks
Nice
for having
meeting
me.
all you guys.
It was
Nice
amazing.
meeting all you guys. And thank you so much for hosting. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure to be on with you all.
See ya.